sent him to him. He refused to drink it. He sent him to him. He reached the third person and they had passed away. He reached the second, went back to the second person and he had passed away. And he went back to his cousin and he had passed away. These were the people that Allah Ta'ala was talking to when he stated, وَعَدَ اللَّهَ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. Allah has promised those who believe and do righteous actions. Those who have this type of love, those who sacrifice, who gave all that they could give, those who had left their wives and their wealth and their family, well, they took their wives with them, walillahi alhamd. They're taking their family, making hijrah, migration from Mecca to Medina. Those who had went through many punishments, like Sumayya, who was killed, the first one to die, first woman to die, and the first one to die Islam. And Ammar ibn Yasir, and Bilal ibn Rabah. These are not just stories that we talk about on our tongue and then we don't get any benefit from. These should be examples for us that if we want what they achieved, we must follow their path and we must give what they gave, and they gave all. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammad wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ba'd. This deen that Allah Ta'ala has promised that will take over the earth and will be in the position of rulership must have with it those men and those women. And it does not have to be us. For Allah Ta'ala will bring about individuals who love Allah Ta'ala more than anything else, who will sacrifice for Allah Ta'ala, because knowing that Allah Ta'ala is the one who owns everything. He will bring about such a people if we do not stand upon our feet and start to fulfill our responsibility. There is no reason under the sun why Islam should not be spreading everywhere within this area. For there are enough Muslims who know something about Islam that they can tell the non-Muslims what Islam is. There is no reason why we can't give da'wah to our neighbors on the right of us, or to the left of us, or in front of us, or in back of us. There is no reason why we can't explain Islam to individuals that we work with. There is no reason why we cannot become truly individuals who want to call to Allah Ta'ala, who believe in the promise of Allah Ta'ala. Yes, the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is true, and it will come about whether you sit or whether you stand, whether you give da'wah or if you remain silent. But if we want truly to be of those who have supported the deen of Allah Ta'ala and become His choices of slaves, become those who He subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with, we must begin to call the people to this Islam. And we must make sure first and foremost that we understand this Islam. That we understand this Islam that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam came with. Not an Islam that we inherited from our parents. Not an Islam that we converted to and have read 2 or 3 books about. But an Islam that was taught by the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, taught from the Quran, of course, and understanding of the Quran, and taught from the Sunnah, and taught and established and implemented by the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. For this Islam there is only one understanding. For this Islam there is one understanding. And for this Islam there is only one jama'ah. Jama'atun wahida la jama'at. One group upon this Islam, not many groups. Sabilun wahid, one path, la asharat, not 10. There is only one path that will lead to the Jannah, and that is the path of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, trodden by his companions. There is no excuse for us to be ignorant of this deen. this deen of Islam. There is no excuse for us to have ignorance regarding this deen, to be worshiping Allah Ta'ala upon innovations. Why? Because the Sunnah is not clear, or do we not ask and try to find out about the Sunnah? There is no reason for us not to know those major issues, those clear-cut issues, which are haram, which has been forbidden in the Quran and has been forbidden in the Sunnah. Why? Because Allah Ta'ala has left a message. Why? Because the legacy of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is here for all times. So we have to begin to implement the Islam that we understand. We have to begin to implement the Islam that we understand. Start with ourselves. Quit looking at others. Start with ourselves. Stop being concerned about the others. If you can give nasiha to others, walillahi alhamd, khair, mumtaz, excellent. Start with your bait. Start with your house. Start with your wife. Start with your children. If nobody else on the earth establishes Islam or practices Islam, does this harm Allah Ta'ala? If no one on earth was to apply it except you, would this not be a ni'mah from Allah Ta'ala? We have to start biman na'ul, those who we are responsible for. Start with those who are responsible for. If we lose ourselves and our families, what have we gained but talk? What have we gained but talk? This generation that we have is getting older. There are youth coming up. If they come up without Islam, whose fault is that? Were we good examples for them? Did they see us humble, humiliated, cowardly in front of the kuffar? Did they see us having doubt in the promise of Allah Ta'ala? Did not Allah Ta'ala promise this? Did not the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam state in the authentic hadith, يقول لا يبقى على ظهر الأرض بيت مدر ولا بر إلا أدخله الله كلمة الإسلام. The Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said there would not be on this earth any house made of camel's hair or made of brick except Allah Ta'ala will enter into it Islam. بِإِذْنٍ عَزِيزٍ, by might and power for those who will accept it, or وَذِلٍّ ذَلِيلٍ, or by humiliation given to those who will reject it. Islam will go into every house, with or without us. Islam will rule. There should be no doubt about that. Islam is the future. There is no doubt about that. Islam is that which will control all of the earth. The issue that we must want to know and must want to understand is whether or not we will be part of the army of Allah Ta'ala, part of the servants of Allah Ta'ala, who have raised the banner for Islam, who have raised the banner for Kitab, for the Quran, for the Sunnah. Don't listen to the doubters. Don't listen to those who the illness of the dunya and the illnesses of technology have hardened their hearts, or they're so far removed from Allah that they have forgotten that the mercy of Allah is expansive and all they need do is make tawbah. Don't listen to that, but begin today. Each and every one have hardened their hearts, or they're so far removed from Allah that they have forgotten that the mercy of Allah is expansive and all they need do is make tawbah. Don't listen to that, but begin today. Each and every one of us begin the connection with Allah, worshiping Allah, fearing Allah, trusting in Allah, depending on Allah. All of us have sins. All of us disobey Allah. But Allah Ta'ala's mercy is expansive. All we need do is call upon Him and He will forgive us. All we need do is trust Him and He will make a way out for us. Allah Ta'ala will honor us when we respect His laws, when we obey His orders. And Allah Ta'ala will be with us when we do that. But He will not be with us when we disobey Him, when we reject Him, when we accept the dunya over Him, when we are more concerned about our day-to-day living than our hereafter. This is the reality. All of us know it from the bottom of our hearts. Well, it's time that we wake up And it's time that we become involved in being sincere servants of Allah Ta'ala, fearing Allah Ta'ala, trusting in Allah Ta'ala, ordering what is good and forbidding what is bad. Let me say that again. Ordering what is good and forbidding what is bad. This is what this deen is based upon. You see your brother involved in all types of ma'asi. You don't correct him. You don't try to say to him, Akhi fi Allah. You see your sister involved in all types of sins. You don't try to pull her coat. You don't try to tell her what's right and tell her to avoid what is wrong. Then you claim you love them. Then you claim we're brothers. It is built up on loving one another. It is built up on our strong connection with Allah. And it is built up on ordering what is good, forbidding what is bad. Islam will rule. We may not. Islam will be victorious. We may be